There are two brand new Predator movies that came out in 2025, but how do these two compare to the other films of the franchise? Let's find out by ranking the 7 Predator movies, as well as the 2 AVP films on this tier list. Cause boy, does this franchise have some masterpieces, but also some absolute stinkers. So let's get started with...
Alright kids, this better be good. I was in the forest wrestling with a bear claw when we got the call.
Predator. There are very few movies that achieve the sheer coolness of the original Predator. This is the epitome of 80s action and I love every second of it. Let's talk about the alien creature itself, the Predator, or the Yautja as they're officially called. I think this may be the coolest alien design in all of cinema. Everything about this guy perfectly captures what it is: a predator, a hunter, a being driven by one singular goal. Its different design elements, from the skull ornaments to the dread tentacle things to its ugly face, have made the Predator iconic, and even the little details like the sounds it makes and the way in which it sees and learns about its prey presents the Yautja as a very imposing alien creature. Also, I'm not sure how many people can actually do this, but I think I kind of do a pretty good impression of the Predator. And let's be real, this is the only dude who makes fishnets look cool, and facing off against the Predator is Dutch and his group of bros. Is there a cooler group of dudes in any action movie ever? Dutch, Hawkins, Poncho, Mac, Blaine, Billy, and Dylan are 7 of the coolest soldier characters of all time. And what elevates them from basic soldiers to actual characters is their bond for one another. These guys, besides Dylan, are a united team who care for each other and fight for each other, and it's their shared camaraderie that drives the decisions they make throughout the whole film. And also, come on, they have so many iconic lines.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
You give up position one more time, I'll bleed you. Real quiet. Leave you here.
You son of a bitch.
Predator has a nearly perfect 3-act structure, where each act is equally entertaining and well-paced. The first act is the introduction to the characters as they take out this group of guerrilla fighters. The second is them running into the Predator for the first time, and everyone's slowly getting picked off one by one until only Dutch remains. And the third act is what I would consider to be the absolute best part of the film, where Dutch decides he has nothing left to lose, that his friends and brothers would not die in vain, that until he breathes his final breath, he would avenge his team and kill the Predator. And that's when Dutch did this. That is cinema. Absolute cinema. Frick, I love Predator so much. Oh my god. But that entire last sequence between Dutch and the Predator is maybe the finest action set piece of the entire film. The beginning cat and mouse segment where Dutch tries to attack the Predator without being detected is exciting and captures those horror elements. The bare knuckle brawl in the pond where the Predator unmasks for the first time is incredible. And it's crazy seeing Arnold fight someone who's bigger than him. And then there's that final moment where Dutch lures the Predator into the pit, outsmarts it, and claims victory. Everything about this sequence is excellent and perfect at showcasing the indomitable human spirit. I really don't have much else to say about Predator, because it's pretty much a perfect movie. Everything about it is truly excellent. The directing, the score, the characters, the action, the deeper story. This is what a movie should be. It's one of my absolute favorite movies of all time, and it's getting an easy S tier.
Hey guys, I'm in New York City just hanging out.
Predator 2 is kind of the ugly stepchild of the Predator franchise. People hated on it for the longest time, and while yeah, I would say it is a bad movie, I actually think it's far more entertaining than some of the other films we'll talk about later on this tier list. Let's first talk about what doesn't work about it, namely the whole first hour. Really, that first hour before Danny Glover goes toe-to-toe with the Predator is just a slog. There's this poorly written crime storyline in a somewhat futuristic city, where Lieutenant Mike Harrigan is doing his best to stop the crime and to save lives, but then the Predator strolls around and is killing everyone. So the beginning of the film is this weird hybrid between a cop taking back the city kind of movie, combined with a detective story where Mike Harrigan is trying to find out who's doing these killings, and the result is just a boring mess with very little entertainment value. Also, the characters are really nothing to write home about. Mike Harrigan is not particularly well written in any way, but Danny Glover is one heck of a cool actor, so he makes the character far more enjoyable to watch. Bill Paxton's Jerry Lambert is cool because, again, he's Bill Paxton. Gary Busey is also here as a delusional guy who thinks he's gonna be able to catch the Predator, and of course he fails. And that's just funny to me because every time I look at him, I remember the buttered sausage video. Do you guys know about the buttered sausage video?
Let's talk about buttered sausage. Talk about buttered sausage, where it comes from, what it does. Why is it doing what it's doing? Get it out of my face.
That's not your jam. It's not your thing. You don't like it?
It's not my jam. I don't buy jam. I buy honey, and I kiss it on the lips.
But outside of the movie simply having good actors in it, none of the characters are compelling in any regard. They're all very basic run-of-the-mill cop characters, and they're all very forgettable. What has to be the biggest difference between Predator 2 and the original is the tone. The first film is very serious, very cool, but Predator 2 on the other hand is a borderline action comedy. This is something I feel like won't work for a lot of people, and I completely understand that, but honestly, I don't hate it. I don't mind how goofy Predator 2 is, because it's already a pretty bad movie on its own. The foundation is already rotted. You might as well go balls to the wall and make it as silly and as entertaining as possible. And that's exactly what the last 40-ish minutes of the movie is. It's a brutal, no holds barred, one-on-one between Danny Glover and the Predator. There are so many good moments here. Like when both the Predator and Danny Glover go through the woman's apartment and have this interaction.
It's all right, I'm a cop.
I don't think he gives a
Or the whole confrontation in the meatpacking facility where all of Gary Busey's goons are thrashed. Which, by the way, they mentioned that the Predator likes beef. Very based. This and a godly woman and all that. And then of course we get the final fight on the Predator spaceship where we see the Predator's trophy wall. Huh, I wonder why that skull looks so familiar. Yeah, all in all, Predator 2 is not a good movie, I want to be very clear. It's entertaining, it's fun, it's wacky, and it's got Danny Glover being badass, but the whole build up to the final fight is completely terrible, and not something I would ever want to rewatch. So Predator 2 is gonna go in C tier. As promised in my Alien ranking video over a year ago, I'm covering both of the AVP movies in this video. Folks have been very negative about the Alien vs Predator movies for the longest time, and the first one ain't completely awful. It's for sure not perfect, and not as good as this idea could be, but it's a reasonably good time. The concept of bringing the best two alien species in all of cinema together to fight is incredible, and this film does deliver that. However, Alien vs Predator is both the title of the movie and the entire story. There's really nothing else to it. No deeper themes, no character stories, nothing. It's just aliens fighting predators, and some humans are in the scramble. And because of the lack of a real story, the humans also become insanely forgettable. The main character, Alexa Woods, honestly isn't that bad. Before another movie we'll talk about later, she had the honor of being the Predator franchise's only final girl, and she's fairly likable, is one of the only rational characters in the movie, and has some really cool moments, especially at the end when she teams up with a predator. And it is pretty cool that they brought back Lance Henriksen to play Charles Wayland. But literally, each and every other single character in this film is generic, flat, forgettable, and downright poorly written. These are not characters. These are pieces of meat whose sole purpose is to be killed on screen in epic ways.
Oh God.
Speaking of the kills, the action sequences are hit or miss. Paul W.S. Anderson isn't really considered a fantastic action movie director by any means, and that's the same story here. There are things that for sure work for these sequences, like the practical costumes that make the creatures feel more real, and so these fight scenes have more weight and impact, but also how everything is framed isn't exceptional in any way, and none of the choreography is particularly well done, and the editing is super detrimental to these fights as well. It's chaotic and choppy and makes some scenes hard to follow. However, there are some real friggin' epic moments, like this shot of the alien and predator being on screen for the first time, or the predator teaming up with Alexa, or the entire finale sequence where they fight the alien queen. There is absolutely still some entertainment value here. Alien vs Predator is not the worst film of this franchise, but it's also not the best. I think when it hits, it really hits. But the lack of a good story and good characters is very apparent, so AVP is going in B tier. Alien vs. Predator Requiem. It's like the last AVP movie, but worse in every single way. Literally, it has all the same problems with the first movie, but it also has a bunch of new ones. Let's start with the tone, because that is very apparently egregious. The first AVP was rated PG-13, which made a bunch of nerds upset in 2004, and so the filmmakers of Requiem overcorrected by making this movie insanely dark and edgy and honestly kinda gross. The gore is fine, the dire situations are also fine, but there are just so many things that don't need to be in a fun blockbuster like this. We don't need to see kids getting chest bursted, and I'm not even gonna describe what happens in the hospital, because I seriously doubt that I can describe anything that happens there on YouTube. If you saw the movie, you know what I'm talking about. It's dark and way over the top. AVP Requiem crosses the line from dark to edgy territory. It's like the difference between Invincible and The Boys. Invincible is kinda dark, but The Boys is edgy and cringe.
Fab Five Freddy told me everybody's fly. DJ spinning.
And speaking of being dark, boy, you really just can't see anything at all. I seriously think they couldn't afford lights when making this movie, because nearly every single scene is pitch black. Requiem is like the first film in that the story and characters suck. Aliens attack this small town, and so the humans have to find a way to survive, while a predator hunts the pred alien, and that's the whole story. Nothing deeper to unpack, nothing to get attached to. Just nothing. And all these characters are somehow worse than the original. They're all typical slasher characters who only exist to be killed off in overly gory ways, sometimes funny ways.
I've made a severe and continuous lapse in my judgment.
It really just seems like a waste. But on the subject of waste, the pred alien. The pred alien is something that in theory sounds awesome. A perfect mixture of the two coolest aliens of all time. And while this creature is certainly a menace, it does feel wasted on such a terrible movie where you can't see a darn thing. It looks cool in the set photos, sure, but in the actual movie, it's just a black blob. But what is absolutely the best thing about Alien vs. Predator Requiem is Predator Wolf. This guy is my personal favorite Yautja of the whole franchise. He's this tough, high-ranking predator who personally goes to take out the pred alien himself. He has a cool design with a mangled face and unique armor, and his final fight with the pred alien just shows how capable he is. But all in all, Alien vs. Predator Requiem is a very bad movie, and possibly the worst film of both the Alien franchise and the Predator franchise. It's hollow, overly edgy, dark, and just generally unpleasant to watch. Predator Wolf is awesome, but he is not this movie's saving grace. So AVP Requiem is going in D tier. Predators, aka the YouTube Minecraft community. This is gonna be my hottest take of the whole video, but I do not like this movie. It's not that it's terrible, but boy, is it just extremely dull. The story is pretty simple. The Predators kidnap a bunch of warriors from Earth and took them to this planet to hunt them. It's not an awful premise by any means, but the story being this simple means it has to heavily rely on the characters, and they are something. Yeah, this is the most upside down cast of all time. What I mean by that is that the actors and characters I want to watch get very little screen time, and the actors and characters I don't want to watch are the main characters. Adrien Brody is a great actor, no one can deny that. Bro won 2 Oscars, but he's not the most versatile actor, and he is terrible here. He's trying to play this tough guy named Royce, and it does not work in the slightest. He has this fake tough voice, and his many one-liners sound embarrassing.
But I'm not doing this. I'm better on my own.
Isabel is another really flat character, and Topher Grace is playing yet another wimpy, whiny side character. But the rest of the cast, honestly, isn't bad. Walton Goggins, Danny Trejo, Mahershala Ali, and Louis Ozawa are all far more entertaining, and any one of them would have made a much better protagonist for this movie. Seriously, we were on the verge of greatness. We were this close. But at least Lawrence Fishburne is fantastic. He's not in the movie much at all, but he does steal the show while he's here.
I wouldn't know how to fly it. He would.
The action sequences aren't awful and are the best part of the film. There are plenty of cool moments here, like the dog shootout towards the beginning of the film, or the one-on-one between Hanzo and one of the other Predators, or what is the best part of this movie, the normal Yautja that we all know and love, facing off against the bigger, badder, berserker Predator. This is freaking awesome, and for sure held my attention before we shifted back to Adrien Brody all muddied up, wearing his Dutch cosplay.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
Predators really fails to capture the magic of the original Predator movie when it tries so hard to do that. So much so that I think this is far worse than the original film, and even worse than Predator 2. I'm never on edge, I'm never entertained, and I'm never experiencing that coolness that the original has. It's just a flat, boring, dull, and poorly paced Predator experience, where you can see a two-time Academy Award-winning actor try his best to be Arnold and fail completely.
I'm here. Kill me.
Predators is going in C tier. I can't stand this movie. The Predator. I remember when they were first marketing this movie back in 2018, they promised to make a Predator movie that would not only honor the original film, but feel like a true sequel to it. They even got Shane Black to direct, who played Hawkins in the original movie. But The Predator completely failed in every conceivable way. Just a waste of talent, money, and breath. So to honor this dumpster fire of a film, instead of covering it like I normally would, I'm just gonna list the 15 things I hate most about it. Because Lord knows I wouldn't have time to list every single bad aspect about this movie. Number 1. The normal Predator comes to Earth to give humanity a weapon to fight the oncoming Predator invasion, but for some reason he still kills and hangs people like he's there to hunt. It makes no sense. Number 2. The actual weapon he brought sucks monkey butt. Seriously, what is this? I mean, number 3. Every Predator film has quoted the original movie, and it gets more and more soulless each time.
You're one beautiful motherfucker.
Shut up.
Number 4, Keegan-Michael Key and Thomas Jane are a duo of characters named Coyle and Baxley, and their constant quips and jokes completely ruin the more serious, gritty tone that the movie wants. Number 5, the special effects are awful across the board, especially the evolved Predator and the Predator dogs with the receding hairlines. Number 6, there's a military subplot story, and it's as boring as every military subplot in every movie like this, and it completely ruins the pacing. Number 7, I'm not knowledgeable about Asperger's or what challenges people with that disorder go through, but making a whole plot around Predators trying to steal that seems a little insensitive. Number 8, also the scene where they tell the audience that Jacob Tremblay's character has Asperger's is maybe the worst writing in this whole franchise. Literally, two bullies walk up to him and say,
"I'm hungry for an ass burger."
Nice big juicy ass burger.
Oh yeah.
Number 9, there isn't a good action sequence in this whole movie. Not a single one. Number 10, the new Predator design is awful. Number 11, Boyd Holbrook is supposed to be a professional sniper. For some reason, he's using an M14, which I guess you could use as a sniper rifle, but you probably wouldn't want to. This video is brought to you by Olympia Gang. Number 12, Traeger is maybe the worst character in the entire Predator franchise, and a complete waste of Sterling K. Brown's talents. No clear motivation, a weird personality, and just an awful secondary antagonist. Number 13, even worse. Traeger's death is freaking hilarious. He's a major character, but it happened so fast that many people in the theater actually missed it. Traeger! Number 14, the entire final battle has no stakes and looks completely awful. And finally, number 15, there's really nothing memorable about this movie outside of how generally terrible it is. No one remembers these characters, these scenarios, nothing. This is just a garbage movie through and through. So The Predator is going all the way into D tier, even worse than AVP Requiem.
He's so ugly. I love him.
Prey. The Predator franchise so far has taken quite a fall since the original movie, but I'm gonna say it. Prey is the first good movie since the original. Let's talk about the setting first. For years, Predator fans have begged to see movies set in random points in history, where different people from different lives and cultures fought predators. And that's exactly what we have here with a Comanche woman in 1719 America. This setting provides so many unique elements to the film, like certain challenges for the main character, and some absolutely beautiful imagery. But let's talk about that main character, Naru. Besides the first Alien vs. Predator, this franchise hasn't had a female protagonist. They've all been super tough, big dudes and Adrian Brody. So Naru, being much smaller and weaker, has to rely on other things to beat the Predator, which makes her a pretty unique protagonist to this franchise. She has to use her skills, her knowledge of the area, and clever tricks to survive. And Naru has this beautifully done character arc of proving herself. In the movie, we learn her tribe has this ceremonial great hunt, where a hunter has to not only succeed in killing whatever it is that they're hunting, but prove they have the ability to survive. And this entire film is her great hunt. So her victory scream at the end of the movie isn't just because she killed the predator, it's also because she completed her great hunt. She proved to everyone and herself that she can survive. And it must be said, Amber Midthunder gives an exceptional performance as Naru. But just like how Naru is very different from each and every other protagonist in this franchise, the feral predator is very different from each and every other Yautja in this franchise. I haven't been totally fond of the predator variations we've seen across the franchise, but I really do like the feral predator because he has a uniquely unevolved aesthetic. His technology isn't as advanced, his armor is super basic, and a lot of the time he's just fist fighting people. I mean, who needs a plasma cannon when you got hands, am I right? Everything about this guy gives off the impression that he's a less advanced version of the previous predators that we've already known. Either he's lower in rank and hasn't earned that same technology, or he's some genetic freak who's just built different. We really don't know, which makes him that much cooler. But the last thing I want to talk about is how this brings back that predator magic. It brings back that paranoia, that claustrophobia, and that feeling that no one is truly safe. It invokes the same feelings as the original, and even carries those similar themes of the indomitable human spirit. Prey is a fantastic movie and a great return to form for this franchise. It's going in S tier.
They fly now? They fly now!
Predator, Killer of Killers, the first and only animated film on this tier list. I really didn't have very many expectations going into this one, but I was honestly kind of blown away. It has this 3-story structure where we follow 3 different characters from 3 different timelines who had their own unique encounters with a Yautja, and so I think it's fitting to go over each story one by one. The first part of the film is Shield, following Ursa, a Viking warrior who's seeking revenge on the guy who killed her father. She's leading an assault with her only son and her men, and once they find him, that's when they're attacked by the predator. This is a pretty good individual story. You instantly get on board with the main character and her plight for revenge, and you also understand how that very thing destroys her entire life. She says many times in the film that if she dies in the battlefield, that her son or someone else should avenge her. Revenge is the only thing on this woman's mind, but after the big action set piece, once the predator is dead, she's left with nothing. Her need for revenge killed her men and killed her son. It's just a pretty well written segment of the movie. The next part, titled Sword, is the one set in Japan. And this is the best part of the whole movie. The story of 2 brothers torn apart by their father and forced to fight together to kill the predator is excellent. The action works, the emotions are high, and this is a very effective 20-ish minutes of movie. Also, come on, we all wanted a predator movie set in Japan. But the third story, titled Bullet, is not as good as the other 2. Torres is the main character we follow here, and he's just not as well developed as Ursa or Kenji. They both have a super detailed character journey, but all Torres has is I fly. But I do like the aerial combat within this story. That definitely helps to make it more unique, but still, Bullet is for sure not as good as Sword or Shield. But what makes Killer of Killers especially cool is how it combines all 3 stories at the end. The Yautja put Ursa, Kenji, and Taurus together in this gladiator arena and pit them against each other. This whole sequence is excellent for a lot of reasons. We get to see more of the Predator homeworlds and their ways of life, and each of the characters either act accordingly to their character arcs, or they finish their character arcs here. Kenji immediately does not want to fight Ursa and Torres because he learned what happens when you're forced to fight against your allies. Ursa sacrifices herself so that the other 2 can escape, telling them to not avenge her. She lets go for ideas of revenge that have damaged her life so much. And Torres flies the ship. I don't know, he's just kinda here. This is a fantastic way to end this movie, and it even sets up future movies by revealing that the Predators have captured Naru, Mike Harrigan, and frickin' Dutch. Oh, I sure hope this movie was successful enough to greenlight the sequel. Predator, Killer of Killers is a fantastic installment in this franchise. and a very unique one at that. Great animation, cool stories, loads of fun action, just a great time all around. It's going in A tier. But before we move on to the latest installment, Predator Badlands, I just want to say, if you've enjoyed this video so far, why not hit that subscribe button? You'll see all my latest uploads, and once I hit 100,000 subscribers, I'm releasing the ranking of every Star Wars movie and show. So make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and now let's move on to...
I am on a remote island on the edge of the Gulf of Alaska at the very top of the Pacific Ocean.
Predator Badlands. After Prey and Killer of Killers, I had high hopes for Dan Trachtenberg's newest installment of the Predator series. And boy, did he deliver the goods. The story is pretty great. A young Yautja who wants to prove himself goes to the most dangerous planet in the galaxy for his hunt. This premise both sets up our lead character and also sets the stage for a ton of cool action bits. Let's talk about that first. The action. Predator Badlands has some of the coolest action in the entire franchise. That's because it's on a much bigger scale than everything we've seen before. It's no longer a dude fighting a creature that's kinda bigger than him. It's a Yautja fighting these huge monsters, and oh my goodness does it work so well. This is Trachtenberg's finest directorial work, and every sequence is fluid and exciting and memorable. And the pace is relentless. It's non-stop bloody action all the way through. Truly excellent stuff. But let's talk about the elephant in the room, the main character, Deck. People had a lot of issues with Deck when we first saw him, but after having seen the movie, I think he's pretty awesome. He's the weak Yautja, the runt of the litter, the little guy who's trying his best to prove himself. It's a great motivation, and the perfect fuel for this character change he goes through in this movie. The character change I won't talk about because I don't want to spoil anything for anyone. Also, yes, his design is different from previous Yautja we've seen. That's because he's deformed and small and uniquely different. But still, the special and practical effects that make Deck a character are seamless. He looks perfect all throughout the film. And speaking of perfect,
this right here is my favorite thing ever. In the history of forever.
Thea is my new favorite synthetic from both the Predator and Alien franchises. And it's not just because she's played by Elle Fanning, alright? But she has such an infectiously joyous personality that really livens up the movie. She also has a character arc of her own, and more importantly, she's important for Deck's character arc as well. And again, I'm not gonna say anything because spoilers. But as far as clinkers go, she's the best. The last thing I'll say about Predator Badlands is that this is for sure a different Predator experience. A lot of people won't like this movie because of how different it is in tone and who the movie is about, and that's perfectly fine. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, but I would just suggest that everyone go and see this movie for yourself and not let people online tell you what to think, because there's a bunch of flat out lies out there. I've heard people say that this movie is somehow woke, or that there's a Yautja and synthetic romantic relationship, but none of this is true. But what is true about Predator Badlands is that it's an exceedingly fun movie about a character who, despite all the odds, overcomes the obstacles in front of him and learns how to survive. Just like the original movie, just like Prey, and just like Killer of Killers. These four movies are thematically the same and are the best of this franchise. So Predator Badlands is going in S tier. And that's the tier list. If you've enjoyed this video, you'll probably like my ranking of every Alien movie from over a year ago, so you can click here to see that.